What is up, everybody? Shauna D Man here, and welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are doing great. Hope you guys had yourselves a great start to the new year. It is officially 2026, and I wanted to do like a small little quick live stream because I didn't get a chance to do a video. It's been a busy week. I didn't get a chance to do a video talking about Auburn's win over Queens this past Monday night, but also since the transfer portal is set to open tomorrow, or depending on when you're watching this, it is currently Thursday, January 1st. The transfer portal opens tomorrow, January 2nd, and I wanted to primarily just do a quick video talking about it, and because I wanted to wait up until this point because there's been just a lot of talks and conversation in regards to the transfer portal from the Auburn perspective. Now, other teams are going through the same issues as Auburn, but for some reason, Auburn is the main focus of everybody talking when it comes to the transfer portal. So we're going to talk about that. But first, I wanted to do like a quick little recap of Auburn's win against Queens this past Monday. One of the things I did not really like throughout this late portion of the non-conference was these weeks where Auburn didn't play. Like, for instance, they played Purdue last Saturday, and then the week before that they played with NC State maybe. But Auburn seemed to be relatively healthy going into this game. Lineup is different. Sebastian William Adams, I think this was his third straight start for Auburn, and then Elijah Freeman coming off the bench. And to be quite honest, I think that's a good look going forward, because you're going to need somebody to come off the bench to provide extra scoring, because right now you don't have a Porum. He's out for the season, and we don't know about Bashir in that situation. I think he's injured, but we don't know when he is going to be available again. And so right now you don't really have much in terms of depth and like scoring coming off the bench. Yeah, you have like Simon Walker, Elijah Freeman, Magwood. They provide some points off the bench, but yeah, I mean it is what it is. But the team played relatively well. They handled business like they're supposed to. At one point it was like 57 to 21 going into half. Now they did get a little lazy afterwards. Queens kind of adjusted what they were doing. Queens was typically a 3-point shooting team, but Auburn was doing such a good job defensively that they kind of switched it up and started going more inside, doing mid-range shots and stuff like that. And it really worked for them. So they probably found something new in regards to their roster that they could probably do heading into conference play, and in their level of basketball. Kevin Overton, I believe this was his third straight 20-point game. And if he continues to play like that, and you obviously got Elijah Freeman, you got the Hod Pettifer, Keyshawn Murphy looked good as well. He looked fine, like fully healthy. He played really, really well. If you could continue like that, then I feel very confident that this team can, win some games in the SEC. I think they're going to win some games in the SEC regardless. But they played really, really well. Now, the Hod, for some reason, does not. He doesn't play, like, I don't know what it is when he plays in Neville Arena, but his stats are never really that good from a shooting standpoint. His stats are never really all that good. But I think from me pull it up. But I mean, Tahad was 1 of 8 from field goal, 1 of 5 from three, but he did have 4 rebounds, 4 assists. I mean, I think he had about 4 turnovers. He had 2 steals and a block. So he played, from a scoring standpoint, he didn't play great, but from a point guard distribution standpoint, he did that role. He got the ball to the other playmakers, and they made plays. And I don't know what it is about that in regards to why he kind of struggles like that. at home, but then like you see him on the road and like in these big games, he shows up. So I would like to see a bit more consistency out of him in some of these games. Um, and then Keyshawn Murphy, like I mentioned, he played well. Keyshawn Hall played well. Kevin Overton played good. Um, that's basically it. Like Auburn should have beaten Queen Mary, not Queen Mary, Queens. Like it shouldn't have been close or anything like that. But it is what it is. And so now, this Saturday they play Georgia. Now Georgia is ranked, I believe, but I think they haven't really played anybody. Let me see. Let me go to their schedule real quick. Who has Georgia played? They're giving Georgia a 57% chance to win. So Georgia's played Bellarmine. I don't know what that is. Bellarmine, Maryland Eastern, maybe Morehead State. They played Georgia Tech, Florida A&M. Oh, they played Xavier. It's not a bad. Xavier's not a bad basketball team. So they played Clemson. Well, they lost to Clemson. Tennessee Tech. They beat Florida State, Cincinnati, West. Okay, West Carolina, West Georgia, and then Long Island. So they've had some cupcakes to finish out the rest of this non-conference. I mean, they played some pretty good competition. I'm not going to deny, you know, uh, Clemson. They lost by 3. They beat Florida State by 30. They beat Xavier by 1. So I mean, Xavier's still a good team. So really, I guess you could say their closest games was a 3-point loss to Clemson and then a 1-point win over Xavier. But I'm gonna be quite honest. Like that doesn't really compare to what Auburn had been doing in the non-conference. When you play, you play in the Players Era tournament in Las Vegas. You play Michigan. You play, St. John, Oregon, um, Purdue, Arizona, North Carolina State, and I think that's pretty much Houston. Like I would definitely say Auburn has played a much tougher um, level of competition compared to Georgia. Now, I mean, Georgia's handled business. They scored like 80 plus points a game. So Auburn's definitely got to be on their A game in regards to that. Now, that's basically it for the basketball side of things. Like I said, it's not really much to cover because Auburn should have won against them. But so as far as so let's jump into the transfer portal. Let's talk about that. It has been just chaotic and what's another good word I could use? It's been chaotic and eventful. So where do I want to start with this? Auburn fans are like there are some already dumb Auburn fans out there that are already like blaming Golish and everything like that because players are leaving. Because the talk of it was if we can keep the roster, because the roster plenty talented, if you keep the roster and just change the head coach and do things a little bit differently, Auburn can immediately compete for next season for the 2026 season. Well, that hasn't been the case. Like I think Auburn currently is up to 29 guys in the transfer portal. Now, don't forget, just because they have their name in the transfer portal, that does not mean they'll stay. They can always come back. They can always pull their name out from the portal. I think what's going to happen is the situation that Hugh Freeze brought into Auburn in regards to like there was definitely issues in regard to Auburn and Hugh Freeze. Like Auburn definitely overpaid for some guys, and they definitely overpaid for some guys after the 2024 year because Auburn went 5-7 with a very good talented roster. and they probably had to pay a little bit extra to keep guys from going into portal, so they could keep the perception that these guys are bought in and these guys are willing to stick with Auburn. Now, some guys probably just like Auburn overall, but you probably overpaid for a lot of players on this roster, and guys, you overpaid for guys who haven't even started or even played a meaningful snap whatsoever. And so now you're just kind of like, you got Alex Golish coming in to fix all that, and they're having to go through and look at, you know, the way Alex Golish is doing it is, I'm completely fine with, is based off your production. If you are not producing at a high enough level to warrant the kind of money you're wanting, you're not going to get the money. Like, for instance, I think Xavier Chaplin, not Xavier Chaplin, um, Xavier Atkinson. I believe he was first team All SEC. I think it was. I he earned his money. He can probably get a pay raise because all the stuff that he did throughout the 2025 season. Yeah, that's completely fine. I'd be okay with that. Your production on the field warrants you getting that level of financial investment. And so I think you have a lot of guys right now who think they automatically deserve the money. They think they did enough to earn that money. You No, you went 5-7 again. Now some of that is on the coaching, but I'll also put some of that on the players as well. I think both sides get blamed in regards to the 5-7 seasons that we've had the past 2 seasons. Both coaches and players get the blame for that. And so let's go. Let me see. Maybe I have it right here, because I think a lot of guys are, when what's happening, and you're probably seeing this throughout all of college football, is one, guys are entering the portal to, see how much money they can get from somebody else. A lot of these guys are getting bad information. Like, it is clear that a lot of these guys are getting bad information either from their family or from their agent, and it's going to cost them, because if your production is not very good and you're asking for, like, let's say $1 million, and if I look at your production for the 2025 year, and if I don't see $1 million production, you're not getting $1 million. Like, that's dumb. And so let's start with the beginning. Start at the beginning. So the first guy I believe who entered, who other than Damari Alston, um, but so start at the beginning of December. Antonio Coleman, don't really care. He flip flopped back and forth with Auburn and Alabama so many times. I don't really care. Uh, Braydon Strader didn't really play. Got beat out by some guys. Perry Thompson, I'm not really upset about either. Like, the thing of it is, like, are these guys putting in the effort to be a starter and things like that? Are they putting in the effort? Because if they're not, then I'm not gonna care if you leave. I'm just not. And from reports and from people, Perry, you know, was a developmental guy, struggled to, like, concepts and stuff like that. So, like, I hate that he's leaving. I like Perry, but it is what it is. And, like, he had opportunities being basically the third wide receiver. Now, again, some of this goes into the coaching and the way the play calling was being called, to where he could have stepped up. And he had some moments, but nothing too great. So, he's leaving. Horatio Fields, I don't really blame Horatio Fields for leaving. And, like, he got injured, and maybe there's a conversation to where Alex Golish was like, you pretty much, you don't fit what we're trying to do. I don't know. Maybe I don't know how those conversations went, but it's a good possibility that some guys are going to be shown the door to make room. And so Ratio Fields, him, um, uh, Amon Lane Ganis, or how you pronounce his last name. Didn't really see him all that much. Saw him a couple times, but nothing really crazy. Hollis Davis, he had off the field issues, so not really surprised. Malcolm Simmons. Now the thing about Malcolm Simmons is there's so many conversations about him because he went on a live with somebody. Um, I think it's like an Alabama player, either Alabama commit or an Alabama player, and he was basically trash talking Auburn. And so at that point, I'm just kind of like, I don't care about you either. More good luck to you in your endeavor or wherever you go. But I'm not going to care as much. Now there's different reports about it, and it's like where he did not. I think like the coaching staff reached out to have a conversation with him about coming back and stuff like that, and he didn't respond to them, and he just announced he was entering the transfer portal. So there are some conversations about that happening with some of these guys, but again, I don't really know the whole truth. I would just say look to guys who probably have insider information, like the War Report, Locked on Auburn, On Three, those kind of guys are probably the best ones to have that information. DeAndre Carter, DeAndre Carter is very surprising because he had an opportunity to start, but he may now if Alex Golich wants to go up tempo, maybe size wise, DeAndre Carter didn't fit what he was trying to do. But I think you probably could have worked around that. But needless to say, DeAndre Carter's entered the transfer portal. Favor Edwin. You got him last minute. I forgot who Auburn beat out for this particular guy. I don't really remember, but Auburn was able to get him basically down to the wire. Self Wilford, he's entering the portal. He was a guy that you probably could have counted on next season. Jay Crawford, another guy who's entering the transfer portal. I mean, that sucks. And so he's entering. Malik Blockton didn't really play much. Towns Magoo, not really upset about that one. Obviously, he did not have a great 2024 year, and then he injured his foot. Which game was it? Was it the Ball State game maybe, where he like basically kicked the turf? So Amaris Williams is playing. Amaris Williams, I could maybe see him coming back. Maybe. Ashton Daniels. Don't really blame Ashton Daniels in this instance either. He it was always the plan to redshirt him anyway. So he has 1 year of eligibility, and so he's gonna go out there and try to find him a place where he can start. So I don't really mind Ashton Daniels leaving. Kenyon Lee is another one. I thought he maybe would have went pro instead of entering the transfer portal, but man. And then we get some kind of like UCF guys. Byron Brown. He talked. This was like last week. Byron Brown talked about announced that he was planning on entering the portal, and obviously everybody's expecting him to come to Auburn. And then Donovan Starr said he's planning on entering the portal. Robert Williard said he was planning on entering the portal. Xavier Chaplin, which you were kind of hoping you could keep him, even though he had issues with false starts and that kind of stuff. I thought he got better in the second half of the season. But, I mean, again, you can probably still get some of these guys to come back because a lot of these guys are going to probably see how much money they can get from somebody else. But in reality, whatever they may be asking may not be enough. Like, schools may not be willing to pay that. So either you're going to have to take a pay cut and go to another school, or you're going to have to take a pay cut and return to Auburn. Either way, you're probably going to have to take a pay cut. Now, there are going to be like some examples or some schools who can probably pony up like a Texas A&M perhaps, who could like pony up that kind of money and things like that. But it's gonna depend on the team, and like what are their roster needs and stuff like that. Because now something else you have to keep in mind is I believe they passed it to where you go from 85 scholarships to 105. So now you have to make sure you have to fill out 105 scholarships. So you have to make sure that you have enough financial finances to make sure you have guys to fill out those spots. And so it's gonna be interesting to see on that aspect on how that plays out. And then let me see who else was it. Um, then Kingsley Faustin said he was planning on entering the portal. Cam Coleman is one where everybody is kind of like I guess on the same page of thinking to where it makes like everybody else before Cam Coleman, you could probably talk about why these guys are entering the portal, whether they want more money, you know, yada yada yada, whatever. Cam Coleman, from all reports and all from depending on who you're listening to, from all what it sounds like is he was coming back to Auburn. It sounded like everything was set. They were getting ready. They were ready to make an announcement that he was coming back, and then something changed at the last second, and he plans on entering the portal. Like, and my thing about this is because this is the same thing with Deuce Knight as well. When I get to him, my thing is if this staff is making you a priority, like this is financially what we're going to do for you. We value you. We want to make sure we keep you here. This is what we do financially. If they do all that to make sure to make you feel like a priority and to keep you here, and you decide to still leave, then I'm not going to be mad about it. I'm just going to be like, okay, well, I mean, Cam Coleman is a talented receiver. Make no mistake about that. But we can also talk about his production on the field. Now, again, a lot of that falls with coaching. A lot of that falls with system. But a lot of that also is him. There were moments throughout 2025 where he would just have these drops that should not have been drops. He makes some, spectacular catches and stuff like that. But his route running wasn't really the best. Now, again, system, coaching, a lot of that plays into it. But I'm just saying, he still had room to grow as a receiver. So again, Cam come back because it doesn't sound like he wanted to leave. So this sounds like a situation again where maybe the wrong kind of people are involving themselves in this decision that they shouldn't. Like if these agents, because these agents aren't really going to look out for the kid's best interest, they're going to make sure they could try to get their cut, make sure they have their percentage of the money. And so the agent's probably like, hey, Auburn's offering this much. Let's see who can either top that, or let's try to push for an extra 10-20%. And that's just bad advice. And like some of these guys are getting bad advice. And eventually they're gonna have to fix this. I don't know what they'll do to unless you just make it to like complete contracts, like multi-year contracts. Um, I don't know how you try to fix it. But so Cam Coleman. So let's see, and then after that we had Wednesday, no Tuesday, wide receiver USF wide receiver Keyshawn Singleton talked about he's planning on entering the transfer portal. And then now I don't know why Hayes Fawcett, put this out, but Oklahoma State offensive tackle Grant Segrin is scheduled to visit Auburn when the portal opens on tomorrow, but he's going to visit Auburn over the weekend. So basically, that just says if I wouldn't call it tampering, I would say it's getting ahead of the curve. But I don't know why you would put that out. And that was another thing too that people talked about. It was during the off season where Auburn was losing commits and Cohen was trying to do things the right way and stuff like that. But it seems like nobody's going to enforce the rules. So if they're not going to enforce the rules, then by all means, let's just let's just have at it. Let's just do this. And so it did cost Auburn some guys in the long run, but I can understand why Cohen tried to do it the approach that he did. Um, Dylan Senda announced he's entering the portal. Now Dylan Senda, he announced and then he was having second thoughts and then he was like, no, I'm still gonna enter the portal. And then Deuce Knight. Now Deuce Knight, I think a lot of Auburn fans, even though I think a lot of Auburn fans aren't really as upset about Deuce leaving because throughout the year he kept doing these antics of like scrubbing his Instagram and then putting stuff on it, then scrubbing it again. Like he kept doing all these things, and it just got to a point where everybody's just kind of like, "Why are you doing this?" And Golish seems like a coach that Zach Black would be best put it. Like Golish seems like a coach that's not going to put up with that kind of stuff. So and like because it does sound like Auburn offered Deuce a 7-figure deal to sit this year, learn the offense, learn the system, and then after that, you have what 3 years of eligibility. You're probably going to be the main guy to start next 2027. But apparently that's not good. Now it may not be all about money for a lot of these guys. So again, we don't really know a lot of the reasons for some of these guys entering the portal and stuff like that. But it could be money, it could be relationships. Because Keanu Watson, he left for Boston College. Could Auburn have kept him? Probably, but I mean, I'm not gonna blame the new coach for not wanting to keep certain guys. I'm not really gonna be mad about that. Like again, it's his staff. He's the one in charge. He has to make sure he puts the right people that he wants in the right places. And sometimes you're gonna lose good people like a Keanu Watson, and that is just the nature of the beast right there. So we'll see how things shape out, but so like now Deuce talk about he's gonna enter the portal. Um, I'm sure guys, people, a lot of programs who are in need of a quarterback are gonna look at him. Does he go to Ole Miss? Who needs a quarterback? Miami will need a quarterback. There's a lot of teams that probably gonna need quarterbacks. So, but again, they could probably come back. So there's really no telling on that situation. Um, and then yesterday, Wednesday, January or December 31st, Sam Turner announced he was entering the transfer portal. So, so there's a lot of work. There's a lot of work Auburn has to do in the transfer portal. There's a lot of guys they gotta fill it out. I think the biggest needs because now again that all depends on if he gets Byron Brown. All intents and purposes, when we're not saying it's a done deal, other stuff can happen, but I would expect Byron Brown to commit to Auburn, and Keyshawn Singleton commit to Auburn as well, and then I think Golish is probably going to have to bring a couple of guys from USF, or at least guys he know that could compete in the SEC. Eric Singleton, we don't really know about him. He could either come back, transfer, or declare for the draft. So we'll wait and see about that. If I had to guess, I would probably think he's not coming back as well. And so, what does Auburn need? Let me just pull up this. So quarterback wise, I forgot about Jackson Arnold. He was in the portal. So you're gonna definitely need at least two guys, I would think, for quarterback. If you get Byron Brown, you already got a high school freshman, and then was it Rice or Reese Bush or Brush or something like that. You already got the high school quarterback picked out. You're already looking at the 2027 quarterback because Auburn. It was announced that let me find it. Where was it at? I think it was here. Because Auburn also picked up a few things as well, which I'll touch on in a second. Because there's been some wins for Auburn. Um, Where'd it go? There's a 2027 quarterback that is at the top of Auburn's board. So I can find him real quick. Yeah. So right now Auburn's in front, is out in front. They're the clear front runner for 2027 four-star quarterback Andre Adams. So you're already zeroing in on your top quarterback pick for your 2027 class. So that is good. You're already making, like, the staff has a plan. They're already making moves and things like that. So but you're probably, if but you get Byron Brown, you have your high school commitment Reese Brush, and now you need a transfer quarterback. Now, whether you want to have four scholarship quarterbacks or three, you're probably going to have to get somebody. You Because it's gonna be hard to try to find, unless you find somebody who has like multiple years of eligibility. Like if they come in as a sophomore, and you could, they can be the backup. You could redshirt them, Byron Brown plays, and then let either that person or Reese compete for the starting job in 2027, or even Andre Adams if you get him. Um, and then Auburn also got a couple of announcements today as well, where Malik Altry is returning to Auburn. Demarcus Riddick is returning to Auburn. Xavier Chaplin mentioned weeks ago that he was returning to Auburn. So we do got some guys, making an announcement that they're coming back and stuff like that. So which is positive. That's good. That's a positive thing right there. Um, let's see what else we got. Because like when I talked about how Auburn is seems to be the thing everybody is talking about. Um, Auburn is not Auburn's what Auburn has lost is not the same compared to everybody else. If you look at Iowa State, they've had 47 guys plan on entering the transfer portal. 47. Where? Let me see if I can find it in this Discord. All right, let me see if I can give me 1 second to find it, because it was a wild thing. Yeah, here it is. So this is from College Football Talk Daily. I just don't see. This is what they said. I just don't see how the current college football landscape is sustainable. Iowa State have been a solid program for years. Now they have 17 players remaining on the roster for next year. Only one of them is a returning starter. They and the way and the position of the transfer portal too is not good either. Like I know they eliminated the spring window, which I don't think you should have. I think you should have eliminated. Well, yeah, I think you should have eliminated the spring window that's about to come up, because you're only going to have 13 days to do this. There's definitely some like third, fourth, fifth party conversations going on for a lot of players who are already, they've already had the conversations. They already know where they're going to go. They're just waiting for the portal to open so they announce where they're going. Um, but that's the issue is as well. It's like there's not much you can do right now because the portal is not open. People can only announce that they're entering the portal. Like, and you can't talk about guys you're bringing in because the portal's not open yet. So it's just something that we have to wait, and so it kind of sucks, and which is why a lot of Auburn fans are having their frustration about things, is because you're seeing all these guys exit and nothing's coming in. At least not right now. I think Auburn's going to get their guys. They're probably going to have to. I think Auburn will have a top portal class this cycle for sure, because it's also not Golish's fault to where, you know, he got here when he did, and then as soon as he got hired, it's National Signing Day. Now they were able to keep a few guys, and they were actually able to get some guys. So was the whole situation at Michigan. We had a what was his name? Bear McWhorter. I don't remember what. I think he's like a fullback or something like that. Something like that. He got released from his letter of intent, so he became free, committed to Auburn, and then the same thing happened with where's his name at? Oh, it should be right here actually. So the same thing happened with four-star Michigan wide receiver Brady McChase or Marchese, however you pronounce his last name. He wanted out of his letter of intent. He got out. He then committed to Auburn. So that's good. So that put Auburn, I believe, like a top 35 class. I'm surprised not more guys have announced that they're doing that yet. I'm surprised a lot more. Now, Michigan just had their bowl game the other day. So, so Auburn's had some small wins here and there, but there really isn't much we can say or do until the transfer portal opens. So I think you're probably going to take at least 30 guys. Christian Clemente with Auburn Undercover wrote, so looking at the transfer portal stuff. So uh, looking to probably add two quarterbacks, potentially two quarterbacks. Uh, running back, Damari Austin's out, but you still have Cobb, Darrell, Mabson, and Henderson. You still have four running backs, and it sounds like potentially they're all going to come back. Potentially. Now, obviously, that could change, but potentially they're all going to come back. Um, there are some guys to keep an eye out on. One I know is like Jaheim White, who was at West Virginia, because the West Virginia coach came to Auburn. I don't remember his name, but he came to Auburn. So there's a good chance that he comes as well. Maybe we'll see. So that'll be pretty good. I wouldn't be upset about that. So you're probably looking to maybe grab one running back out of the portal. Wide receiver, obviously, Cam Coleman's out. I'm not saying out, but guys who are intending to enter the transfer portal: Coleman, Thompson, Horatio Fields, Simmons, Sam Turner, and then a walk-on guy. So you're probably looking to add three. So they're probably going to be the two USF guys. So Nimrod and Singleton, and then another guy to keep an eye out for is Iverson Hooks, who is at UAB. So that's another guy to keep an eye out on. And obviously you're going to still have Bryce Kane, who pretty much fits what Golish wants to do offensively. Tight end, you're definitely going to bring in a tight end. Like, I believe the staff likes Preston Howard. He just has to be more consistent. And maybe with a different position coach or a different tight end coach, that can change. But they like Preston Howard, so he'll probably stay. So you're probably going to look to get two more guys, two more capable guys, and things like that. Um, Offensive tackle, two. Probably two guys, two, three guys. You still have some good guys like on the roster. You got Broderick Scholl, which I think he basically announced he was coming back. You got Tyler Johnson. Um, I feel like there's somebody else too, and then you have some other guys that you have on the roster. But so then DeAndre Carter. I mean, you're basically going to have to rebuild the offensive line. So tackles, you're probably looking at like maybe two to three tackles. Your guards, you're probably looking at maybe um because Connor Lew announced he was declaring for the draft. So like maybe three, four offensive interior line guys. Defensive line, kind of yeah, about three guys. It looks like. So again, some of these guys are gonna be USF guys, but defensive linebacker. I don't really or or buck linebacker, defensive end kind of thing. Because Jamonte Waller is another guy who's entering the portal, which he had been injured, and I don't blame that. I don't blame him like wanting to leave to get like a more fresh start in that regards to that. So Again, the numbers could change depending on if guys announce they're coming back or not. So maybe two or three linebacker, Caleb Wheatland, and Robert Woodyard. So I mean, you pretty much have a good, healthy run it linebacker room. You might want to bring in one guy for experience, perhaps, or maybe a guy to develop something like that. So I could probably see that happening. Cornerback, your secondary is definitely need to rebuild there. So like man, like maybe three at the most, maybe. Then your safety. Uh, the only one who's safety announced is Gaskin, so I think Eric Winters should be coming back, and Fagan should be coming back. We don't know about Sylvester Smith. Don't really know about him just yet. And then what was his name? Caleb Harris sounds like he'll look like he'll be back, even though he kind of. What I'm hoping is because it felt like the secondary regressed, particularly like guys like Caleb Harris. I feel like he regressed in his second year. So again, maybe with a new coach and things like that, that changes things here a little bit. So, but I mean, overall, you are gonna need a lot of work, and it does sound like there is a plan in place. So I'm not all that worried as everybody else is for everything that's going on in the transfer portal because you even have former players speaking out about things going on and like just talking about. Let me see if I can find one here. Let me see if I can find. There's some other stuff too. There's a lot of stuff to. Let me see. So oh, that's not. Wait. Yeah, okay, never mind. That was something else. Who said some stuff? I know, like I think Caleb, or I think Anthony Swartz made a comment. Chandler Wooten made a comment, and so some of these guys have come out and said stuff. Mm. So this was from somebody. So no, not that, not that. Where is it at? Uh, this has so many stuff. Oh, so here's one. Eugene Asante. He said, I turned down 400K in the portal in 2023 to come back to Auburn because I prayed to God if a coach gave me a chance to play, I would honor him with my actions and words. Ain't no more loyalty. I ain't even speak on Cam. He gave his he gave his all for AU, but half them guys leaving because it's the latest trend. My mother, a widow, and I made that decision for significantly less at Auburn. I don't put a price on the relationship I built. That's how I was raised. And if I start some, I finish it. This is just sad to see. Let's go get kids fresh out of JUCO that no struggle. Let everybody else hit their door. So that was from Eugene Asante, which I completely agree. Like yeah, Anthony Swartz, and he says, let's see. Oh, that's not that. Okay, that's just a backup thing. Where is it at? No, not that one. So he said college agents are parasites, and Auburn Twitter, y'all gotta cool it with slandering. Yeah. So again, it's basically like what I said. Some of these kids are getting the wrong information. They're listening to the wrong people, and it's gonna cost them. So Chandler Wooten said losing any great player sucks, but the reality is we won 5 games in 2 years. And that's another thing. And I kind of talked about it a little bit at the beginning. Why would I pay extra money to a player where your production matched a 5-7 season, if that makes sense. So, um, and then there's some other stuff that came out too. Whether you believe it or not, there's some stuff of it that could be true. But there was like some stupid message board thing that somebody shared on. I think it was the bunker. Now again, don't know if it's true or not. I don't really care as much. If some of it's true, then you definitely got to change the culture. You definitely got to change things how it's going. It's going at Auburn, and Hugh Freeze did not help with this situation whatsoever. He probably made things a lot worse. Um, so I mean, you got some guys, it is, and some guys probably just felt like they got lied to by the previous coaching staff. Like they didn't fulfill their promise on, making them better at Auburn and stuff like that. There's so much stuff that could be a microcosm of different actions that results in them wanting to enter the portal. So it's really hard to say and know for sure on the reasons why a person wants to enter the transfer portal, and that's just the nature of it. We just got to roll with it. It is what it is. Like the transfer portal opens tomorrow, and we'll see. We'll see if Auburn gets like a slew of guys. Then Auburn's gonna be fine, and they feel fine. I think this staff seems to be having like the way even Golish was when he first got had his presser and stuff like that. This staff seems to have a plan in place to get the work the portal, and I think they're gonna have a top 5 transfer portal class. Maybe not, I don't know about maybe number 1 if they get number 1 probably, but they're definitely gonna get their guys, but they're not gonna overpay for guys. So that's that I'm fine with. They're not gonna have to do any of that kind of stuff. So, but we'll see. We'll see how things shape out in that regards. But that's relatively it, guys. Just wanted to do a quick little, not necessarily quick, but we're almost about an hour. But wanted to just talk a little bit about the transfer portal. I may do more of these throughout the weeks, depending on how things go and how my schedule is. But that is relatively it. I will talk with you guys on Saturday after the Auburn versus Georgia basketball game. Auburn goes on the road to take on the Bulldogs in Athens, so we'll see how that plays out for sure. But guys, that is relatively it. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for watching. If you're new to the channel, be sure you hit that like and subscribe button, comment below, and I will see you all in the next video. Y'all have a good one.